Shalom and Yom Yerushalayim Sameach to all of our alumni and friends. I thought on this very special day of Yom Yerushalayim it would be a good opportunity to share with you some thoughts about Yerushalayim Ir HaKodesh and some sugim that are related to it. In Tehillim Perek Kuf Chaf Bet it says, Shir HaMa'alot LeDavid Samachti Ba'omrimli Beit Adonai Nelech Omdot Hayu Ragleinu B'Sharayich Yerushalayim. The Pesukim are discussing people coming up towards Yerushalayim, and it says in Pasuk Bet there that our feet were standing in your gates, Yerushalayim. What does it mean that our feet were standing there in your gates, and what are we meant to learn with this? So I'd like to share with you three different Perushim on this Pasuk, out of the very many that exist. First of all, the Ibn Ezra gives a beautiful Perush. He writes, Hatam amadnu lehistakel binyanei hachamot v'yofi hasharim. The Ibn Ezra describes why did we stand in the gates of Yerushalayim? Because we paused to admire the beauty of the buildings and of the walls of Yerushalayim. In other words, just as when you see something amazingly beautiful, a picture, a landscape, you pause in awe, so too, says the Ibn Ezra, when people were going towards Yerushalayim, they would pause as they were entering Yerushalayim in the gates of Yerushalayim to admire its amazing beauty. And that truly is something that we see even this day, the beauty of Yerushalayim. The Gemara says that there are 10 portions of beauty given to this world. 9 were given to Yerushalayim, and 1 to all of the rest of the world. So that's certainly something that we experience even to this day. The Vilna Gaon gives a different Perush, also beautiful, a little bit different. He writes, he describes Omdot not so much as standing in the gates, but as being there for a long period of time. And the Vilna Gaon in his Perush, Igeret Eliyahu, writes that even though we were in Yerushalayim for a long period of time, even though we were Omdot, we were standing, we are there, we've been there for a while in Yerushalayim, he writes, Matzanu tamid chidush biyafya. We always found something new. Meaning no matter how much time we spent visiting or spending in Yerushalayim, there was always something new there. Unlike usually in life, if we spend a large amount of time with something, we get used to it. It's not so exciting, doesn't seem so beautiful. We adapt. Says the Vilna Gaon, Yerushalayim is not like that. The more time you spend there, the greater you admire its beauty, the more you think of the holiness of Yerushalayim. So that's his interpretation of that phrase, Omdot hayu ragleinu. We pause there, and no matter how long we pause there, we still continue to admire and find new things to admire in Yerushalayim. But the third Perush I'd like to share with you is, I think, the most exciting of them all, and that's the Perush of the Radak on this Pasuk. Again, Omdot hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim. We paused, we stood in your gates, Yerushalayim. Why did we pause? The Radak writes that this is describing people coming up to Yerushalayim for Aliyah Regel, and writes the Radak that the first group of Olim would pause in the gates. They were excited to enter Yerushalayim, but they would stop, they would stand, and they would turn around. Why? Because they would look behind them to see who else was coming in the gates of Yerushalayim. Omdot hayu ragleinu b'sharayich Yerushalayim is people turning around. Because when you come to Yerushalayim, one of the special things about Yerushalayim we know is that it is me'ached, it unites all sorts of Jews, all different Jews, from wherever they are, whoever they are. And therefore, even at the exciting time, when you're entering Yerushalayim, you're making Aliyah Regel, you're coming up, you pause, you turn around, and you look for other Jews to join you. And Yerushalayim truly is a city that brings us all together. So on this Yom Yerushalayim, we can celebrate the beauty of the Yerushalayim, the continuing chidush of that beauty, the innovations of its beauty, and perhaps most importantly, the achdut of Am Yisrael that comes along with Yerushalayim. Yom Yerushalayim Sameach to everybody.